You're listening to the AI Moment with me, Jonathan Wagstaffe.
Me, Danny Denhard.
And Dan, what are we going to talk about today?
Today we're going to dive into the different AI use cases people are using inside and outside of work to unlock AI for them. So we've talked around a lot of the use cases in the professional setting, but what a lot of people have found out through playing with AI is that the personal really unlocks the professional. So we're going to concentrate more on the personal side and then dive into how you can apply it into the professional side. So do you want to dive into a couple of different use cases that you know you've used and friends and family have used, Jonathan?
Yeah, I think you're right, Dan. I think one of the things that I see a light bulb go on with people is that they are aware of these tools and they may have been in a company presentation about we're all going to use AI, but the real moment is when people start to use it in an area that is familiar to them. So it may be that you are very interested in cooking and you use it to look up some recipes or look up ingredients or do something in that field, and you go, wow, okay, that's clever. I've seen people using it for helping with their child's sports team and organizing things around that. But I think they're the moments when people actually make the little leap that says, okay, this is a new technology, this is a new capability that we've not had before. And they start to then explore what it can do for them and how clever it can be. And then that sometimes relates back into the office. That allows them to get going back in the office, having realized what the options are. I know somebody the other day was saying to me that they'd used it to help with their tax return, and they pretty much saved whatever their accountancy fee was for last year by doing it themselves using either ChatGPT or Gemini. I can't remember which one it was now, but those sorts of things, I think use cases like that are the sorts of things we're seeing, and that's what's triggering people to get more engaged, like in my experience. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I'm seeing the same. The tax return one is the one that I've heard a couple of times. In the UK, it's kind of complicated if you haven't done it yourself especially a self-assessment. So people screen grabbing, they're uploading it into ChatGPT, etc., and it's giving them the different breakdown. I've heard 3 or 4 of my friends that aren't really, I'd say, aren't the most forward thinking in AI. They've done that. The kids one is the always interesting one. Like, how do I get it to create a day for the kids, help me co-run and co-plan the kids' birthday party? A friend of mine has created a shared family calendar, so you don't have to worry about loads of different calendars in one. They've just got a shared one, and it pops up in their little iPad in the kitchen, and people can just send notes up to it, and it books it out for them. So these are all ways I think will unlock it, and then people can then feel confident in applying it into professional setting. A friend of a friend is using it for their sports team, and it's auto chasing payments rather than them having to use like another system or pay for a really expensive one. And that's actually followed them from outside of work into work. So for presents, for people leaving, etc., that's a way that they're collecting money, and it's all automating it. Personally, I think it's really interesting how some people it's unlocked their creativity and their problem solving. And something you and I have talked around a number of different times is if you're not problem solving, you're not really going to be using the AI tools in the most effective way. They're my little friendly hacks or ways to bring them back into the office.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the things that it allows people to do is realize this thing we've talked about where it's natural language. And I think so when people are using it on some kind of domestic subject they know about, they realize that, it starts to point up the differences between old style SEO and AI. So you can have a dialogue with it. You can ask it a question, you get some questions back, you have a dialogue with it. And you start to realize that there is really, in its most basic form, there is no technical knowledge needed to really interact quite hard with this thing. You're just using natural language conversation and you get some really good answers out of it. Another one I've seen recently, it talks back to, we've talked before about AI sheep and AI lions, and we've said that most of the population really is outsourcing their thinking to AI. The smart people are using AI to help with their thinking. And an example I saw was somebody in sixth form doing A-levels recently, and this particular sixth form class, a number of the kids had effectively outsourced essay writing to AI. So they were being given the task by the teacher. They were, getting the AI to write the essay, handing that in. And of course, they think the teachers can't see, but of course the teachers can see. And that's not going to do any help at exam time. The clever kids are writing their essays and then photographing those and uploading them and getting AI to mark those essays and say, this is my, A-level, whatever is English essay on this subject. Can you mark it for me? Can you tell where I can improve? Yeah, that's smart use. That's AI lion use of AI for me. That's smart use of AI versus the easy route, which is to get it to write your essay for you if you're in school, which is actually not doing you any favors. Quite an interesting little, again, real demonstration of the power of AI and something that wasn't available even 2-3 years ago, which is now available for people to use.
That writing by hand, I know a lot of people still prefer it, and it's still that haptic feeling that you get when you write pen to paper. And when I know I need to take really important notes, or I know that I want to take them for myself, I write them by hand, take the picture, upload them, and get AI to then put them into a format I can copy and paste across, or have it as an image or a sketch. I know we talked about this way back when, but the whiteboarding, people get so much value from whiteboarding, where it took such a long time to whiteboard, sketch it, type it up, share it. Now it's whiteboard, take a picture, it's all annotated, it's drawn up in a flow, you can wireframe it really quickly, you can put it into Figma, and it's like build time basically. So all of these different ways you can connect offline to online. And something you said that I think is, you've said it quite a few times, and I don't think we've landed it as such, but voice is going to be so important between meetings, between hopping between different tasks. Just by annotating something or asking a question en route is going to make people so much more effective and share an idea or a thought really quickly. And I've seen people in the legal profession mind blown by where they used to have to use a dictaphone. Now they're just talking to their phone and it does it for them, goes off to specialist apps. So these are all ways normal people can have the maximum out of AI and lock it for their work use cases too.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting nuance on it, Dan, which is when people are using it, let's say you're using it to do your tax return, or you're using it to help you develop a recipe for something at home. One of the things you're doing, of course, there is you're giving it lots and lots of context. As you have the dialogue with it about your tax return, you're giving it lots of context about your situation so it can give you the very best advice. And there's a leap really to what we're doing at work, because at work people are quite often generic with it, but the demonstration is there in doing your tax return is the more context you can give it, the more you can give it around the subject, the more detail you can give it, the better the answer you get. So the real value is not just in using the AI, but actually in giving the AI the right context, the right constraints, the right data, so it gives you a really strong answer, and that's something to take back into work.
100%. And if we were to give a couple of different takeaways or use cases, what would your couple of recommendations be, Jonathan?
I think if you're not doing much with it at the moment, do something domestically that is an area you know about. Go and talk to it and explore something you know about, because that gives you the confidence, gives you the ability to see how good it is, gives you the confidence about the conversation you're having. So you then know when you start to talk about things you don't know much about, you've got confidence about how it's going to react with you and how it responds. And that contextual stuff as well. Like the more you can give it around context and data and constraints, the better answer it'll give you back.
My little takeaway would be, if you think in multiple different ways and you're a visual thinker and you like to talk to, computers, etc., like to talk out loud or think out loud, one way that you can really get a lot out of AI now is using all the different features. So using imagery to sketch out something, then using voice to break that down and annotate it. And then if you really want to go like a third dimension, start typing and try and connect it all together, that is a living, breathing document that you can continuously update and then upload to AI and interact and interface with it. So whereas before we used to have one or two ways to give context, now we can have multiple different ways. And if you're not using those 3 different types, the better the context, the better the information you can give it, the better assistant or co-pilot it will be for you. That's my top tip of this week.
Sounds like sound advice to me, Dan. Good to see you, my friend, and I will see you next time.
See you next time. Thanks for listening today, everyone. If you liked what you heard, please give us a rating and review in any of the podcast players. We have a supporting newsletter, which is aimoment.co.uk, that comes out on Mondays and Fridays with every pod, and we dive a little bit deeper. So please subscribe there. Have a great week, and we'll see you soon.